Good morning. Welcome in July 21st, 2026. Happy Tuesday, or is it? Yeah, it's a happy Tuesday because the Baltimore Orioles win streak is over. They won seven in a row, but it's back down to zero today because they played the Boston Red Sox. Last night it looked a little dicey, but the Red Sox get it done, a 6-5 win to improve their win streak to 14 in a row. Let's get right into it. Welcome into the Morning Drive, episode 4. I'm your host, Thomas Curtis. And here we go, man. It's Caleb Durbin is the hero this time. Back and forth they went at Fenway. A shame I wasn't there. A shame I was a day early, even though they won the game that I was at Sunday. Boston wins it again. It was a Peyton Tolley start that wasn't the gem that you expect every time he steps on the mound, but it was good enough. They got to the bullpen, the best bullpen in baseball. And at this point, the offense is clawing. The vibe around that stadium and the vibe in that dugout is World Baseball Classic-ish. They're jumping out of the dugout every time they score a run. They're hanging over the fence every time they're up to bat. I mean, they go quiet a couple innings in this game, but the vibes are still very high because this team has something to play for. For the first 3 months of this season, up until June 25th, this team had nothing to play for. They were in fifth place in the AL East. They were dead in the water. They were dead men walking. Craig Breslow was a dead man. All these guys were getting sold off. Contreras had to basically convince the media that he didn't want to be traded. But now all these guys have something to play for. This is a historic run. You got to go back to 1946, the last time the Red Sox had a winning streak that long. Everybody watching this team and going to these games have not seen a run like this. So this is a team playing for something now, and it's so exciting to watch. It's appointment television. Dave O'Brien is excited. That's how big these games have become. Caleb Durbin with the go-ahead home run in the 8th inning. Awesome, dude. Up to 10 home runs. He's at double-digit home runs. That 236. His OPS is at 700. He's playing Gold Glove defense on the hot corner. I'll say it every single day as long as he keeps going this way. What a insane, unbelievable, you can't even think of it, kind of turnaround for a guy who looked like the worst baseball player on the planet. Now, as I said yesterday on episode 3, there's no way he can be the worst baseball player on the planet. No way Breslow traded for that, right? So here he is. This is not regressing to the mean, but he's evening out his stats with this crazy run he's been on since June 1st or so. He's got the go-ahead home run. Wilyer Abreu stays hot, 2 for 4 with an RBI. He had a double and a single. Really, really balanced is what he looks like. He's catching up to fastballs. Everything high in the zone, he's fouling off, which is a huge difference. He's not swinging and missing at that pitch right now. And because pitchers can't go up to that hot spot where, he hasn't been able to touch at a lot of points in his career, pitchers, don't have somewhere to go with him because he's has the ability to poke something into left field. He's got the pull side power. He knows how to hit. He's such a fantastic hitter. Was the one hole in his swing. And when he's hot and going like this, that's usually the reason for it. He gets to 2 for 4, sorry. Contreras 3 for 4. This is his house. He said it when he hit that RBI double. Man, what does this team look like without trading for Wilson Contreras? It's bleak. It's extremely bleak, but he's their all-star. Jarren Duran with the sac fly. He had a knock through the right side and then got unlucky on like 110 mile an hour ground ball to second. He had 2 hard hit balls according to StatCast. So good for him. Good for Jarren Duran. As for the Orioles, Tyler O'Neill hits a ground rule double after Gunnar Henderson peppered the monster in the first inning. 2 just lasers off of Tolley where he was trying to go down and away to both a lefty and a righty, and they did the right thing with it, let it get deep and smacked it the other way. O'Neill's hitting 199 or was coming into this game, so he was right to challenge him. But when these guys are sitting fastball and Tolley, we'll get to it here in a minute when we get to talking to the pitching, it becomes an easier hitter to pitch for sure, or pitcher to hit. We talked about the Willier double to score. Seti Contreras hits the line drive, and then Willier scores. Christian Encarnacion Strand hits a homer off Tolley in the top of the fifth. Ball that doesn't go out in Baltimore, I don't think, but got high enough to get out over the monster. I'm actually going to watch this pitch. High fastball, again, like I mentioned with O'Neill, when it's all fastballs, he only used the curveball 6% of the time. When it's all fastballs for Tolley, you can really sit back and gear up for what is 98, 99 in the first couple innings. But by the fifth or the sixth, that pitch was 94 miles an hour. Pretty flat at the top of the zone, middle to a right-handed to both hitters. So it's a very hittable pitch. And when you're not using your off speed as much as Tolley does, these guys can sit back. And it's frustrating because Tolley's so good when that fastball is playing up and they can't touch it. But when you do sit back and gear up for a fastball, when it's only fastballs, you don't have to worry about really something breaking away from you or breaking towards your back knee. Hitting becomes easier. That's as simple as that. Jeremiah Jackson with an RBI single to score Tyler O'Neill, and then Encarnacion Strand gets Tolley again. That's when he was pulled. Tyron Guerrero comes in. He goes 1 1/3. He gave up. It was a wow. I don't know how these guys got to first and third, but I remember being frustrated by it. Let's see. Taylor Ward doubled. Again, he poked that one to the right side. I tweeted this. All they do is, flare things on the foul lines and then get a ground ball up the middle. Like it's not gap to gap swings. Besides that Encarnacion Strand homer, and then O'Neill gets the RBI ground out. Yeah, we can do the Tolley thing now. He needs to stop running out of steam after 3 or 4 innings. If this is going to continue to be a problem, you've got to start piggybacking him. Probably start thinking Bayo after 4. You need to manage his innings because this guy hasn't thrown a major league workload in his life. But at his size and the way he pitches, he needs to be able to sustain the velocity, because if he doesn't, it becomes a flat 94 fastball, cutter, sinker, stuff that doesn't move ridiculously. And at 93 miles in the 6th inning, you saw where he got roughed up a little bit. He only used the curveball 6% of the time, as I mentioned. That pitch needs to be featured more. I don't know if it needs to be a get-me-over pitch, like if he needs to control it enough to be a get-me-over pitch for the first pitch of an at-bat the second or third time around, just to show them a different look. Because you walk up to the plate, you see a curveball immediately, then you start thinking about that curveball. Is it coming back? But at 6% of the time, you can almost flush it from your brain and think only fastball. He only had 7 called strikes. The Orioles aren't afraid to swing. They strike out the most in the major leagues. So I'm not worried about the called strikes, but you also got to live in the zone. Jake Bennett lives in the zone and gets a lot of called strikes because he's just so consistently in the zone. I don't blame him for the called strikes on that one. It was just something to note. The cutter was up 10% from 18 to 28. The sinker up from 22 to 26. So basically, all the times he didn't use the curveball, he was using the cutter. I thought Tracy could have hooked him at 5 2/3 before Jeremiah Jackson, or after Jeremiah Jackson, sorry, when Encarnacion Strand came up, especially a guy that got him for a homer. I wouldn't have let him see that batter. But Tyron Guerrero wasn't warming up early enough. So if you thought he was going to cruise through the sixth inning, he wasn't at a high pitch count. I don't blame you for not having Guerrero up, but you lose that run when he slows down, and you got to know he's gonna slow down because this has become a trend for Peyton Tolley. Guerrero 1 1/3 gave up an earned run. That was the Tyler O'Neill in the top of the seventh inning. Tyler O'Neill RBI ground out. His first earned run since June 13th. It's over a month ago, or 5 weeks ago, really. At this point, he's been fantastic. You don't really blame him for giving up the bloop double, ground out, or bloop double, single ground out. That happens. It's baseball. Also, 3 strikeouts and 4 outs. Really, really good outing for him. Whitlock with a perfect inning. He had through 11 pitches. You slide him into the 8th inning, and every single time he comes out of it and is like, what next? Like, can I start now? Can I go back to the clubhouse? Because he looks bored, quite frankly. He's such an efficient pitcher. Only 1 strikeout, but that's obvious because he gets ground balls. Do we have a... He threw changeup, sinker, slider, because that's who he is, 45% changeups, and I love that changeup. Almost become numb to Garrett Whitlock's changeup. When he first came up, or when we Rule 5'd him in 2021, I was like, this is the greatest pitch ever. And I was pretty much right. He had 75% whiffs on 4 swing and misses on that pitch, 3 swings, no whiffs on the sinker, and then he threw 1 slider. Yeah, just really impressive. Chapman's an entertainer. He went 1 inning, walked a guy, gave up a hit, struck out 2. That ball that Chang caught really could have tied the game if somebody else was at shortstop, if they didn't have the reflexes that Chang had. Oh, excuse me. But, he gets the line drive, and he really just ramps up for the moment. He comes in, bases empty, throwing 95, 96. As soon as he gets the juice is flowing, it's 99 again. Chapman, incredible. For the Orioles, Boz looked solid. He was efficient. The Red Sox were putting bat to ball. They weren't striking out. He struck out 6 Sox, let the defense do a lot of the work. And then Durbin's home run. Back to Durbin's home run. He added 30 percentage points of win probability to the Red Sox total from 53% when Yoshida struck out to 84% on the homer. It changed everything, and with that kind of bullpen, the 1-run lead is exactly what you need. They claw back from down 2 runs, they claw back from down a run, they claw back from down a run again, and they keep not even letting the Orioles have an ounce of hope. They'll give up the run in the top of the inning. I say they keep with the Orioles, but against every team, they simply... Sorry, I heard Tucker on the steps. They let a team score in the top of the first, bottom of that inning, come back and tie it. There's no extended amount of hope for any team. So the Red Sox win that game 6-5. What a wonderful watch. I'm pumped up to watch again tonight. Get home from work and probably go to the gym, make some food, do some homework, and the Red Sox will be on. That's what the routine's been looking like recently. For tonight, it's Kyle Bradish, the Orioles ace. I mentioned yesterday the extension he just got has been really good. We could actually look at Kyle Bradish this season. But the big news for your Red Sox, Ranger Suarez off the IL, your all-star pitcher. Huge. That's another thing about this win streak. It seems like it's been all good news. Besides the Anthony and Crochet, I never expect any good news from those 2 guys. Everything else has been, these guys are on track. We have pitchers coming back. And Ranger's right back. Ranger, I never really expect to be out more than a couple weeks. He's such an Iron Man. And he also, because his style of pitching is so durable, I guess is the word. it's just extremely durable. He throws 92, 93 miles an hour. He's not living for strikeouts. He's getting ground balls, and so he's not, overextending myself, trying to hurt himself. Um, as for Bradish, his fastball is really good, 93rd percentile. The breaking stuff's bad. He doesn't have an off speed. Um, it's essentially sinker, slider, curveball, and then the four seamer to get me over. 33% sinker, 27% slider, 22% curveball, 18% fastball. That sinker's really good. It's 238. Because he throws it so often, it's 238 against the sinker, a 217 X batting average. The slider's 209 X batting average, and then the curveball, 196. The four seam gets killed, 467 X slug, 280, 305 X batting average. Wow, they should jump on four seam fastballs. But he only throws it 18% of the time, so how often can you count on it? That is Kyle Bradish going tonight. Red Sox a chance to win another series. They swept 4 straight. You got to just keep winning series from here on out. Take a look at the standings. I should have them up. I do not. Standings. Red Sox 51-48, 6 games back. The Rays won yesterday 57-42. The Yankees beat up on Pittsburgh 56-44 there, a game and a half back of the Rays. Sox put a game between them and the Orioles. It was 6-8, now it's 6-9. In the wild card, Red Sox plus 1.5 games on the Rangers, plus 3 games on both the Orioles and Twins. So starting to kind of have a gap because of this streak. Only a game back of Cleveland for the second wild card spot, 4.5 back of New York. Now we'll move on to the rest of the league. We're going to go standouts first and then talk about some scores that catch my eye from Monday. First up, 6 double homer games. What the hell is in the balls? 6? Trey Turner, 3 for 5 RBIs with 2 homers. All these batters I'm about to talk about had 2 home runs, which is insane. A win versus Los Angeles for Trey Turner. Jazz Chisholm, 2 for 4 of those 2 were home runs. He had 5 RBI. Dylan Dingler, 4 for 5, 3 ribbies and 2 homers. Mookie Betts, 4 for 5, 3 ribbies, 2 homers, and a loss to Philly. George Kirby went 6 shutout innings against Cincinnati. The Mariners pick up a win there. Jose Soriano is kind of back to his first month and a half self. 7 innings, 2 earned, and 7 strikeouts versus St. Louis. Yordan Alvarez feels like he hits 2 home runs every night. He was 3 for 4 with 2 solo shots against Miami. And Peter Haplin of Cleveland, because everybody bet the double homer game from Cleveland. They beat up on Joe Ryan. What was the score there? 13-4. Joe Ryan, 4 innings pitched, 10 hits, 8 earned, only 3 strikeouts. He gave up 6 home runs. So, of course, a double homer for Cleveland. Pete Haplin, 3 for 5, 3 ribbies, and 2 homers. Tampa Bay went to Toronto, kind of got that win out of their system after being mopped by the Sox. They won 7-1. I almost mentioned the Giants Royals just because Rafi's still there. We'll check out Rafi's stat line. 1 for 3, strikeout and a walk. Sounds about right. Phillies beat the Dodgers 10-7. That's a huge game. Chase Sugar, former Sea Dog. For the YouTube viewers, there's my shirt. The Franklin Arias tarp. Mookie had a couple homers, but it was Chris Sanchez, 5 1/3, 7 Ks. Trey Turner had that double homer. 2 double homer games in the same game. That's pretty interesting. A lot of hits moving them over. For Philly, they pick up the first win, which is big because now you got to split these next 2 games and you've got yourself a series win against the Dodgers. That's pretty much all. The White Sox take care of business against the Rangers 10-3. Cubs lose again 8-6 to Detroit. Detroit 47-53. Break a little losing streak for them. Those are your scores around the league. I have a timer for 8 a.m. for some reason. That's all. The Red Sox 14 in a row, looking for 15 tonight on Tuesday, July 21st. That's been the Morning Drive, episode 4. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow morning with hopefully another Red Sox win.